What's up, everybody? This is Pastor Sammie, and I am incredibly excited to, first of all, be alive. I am alive, and you are too if you're listening to me. I hope you're not dead. But I am excited for the fact today we're going to talk about love. You know, I'm all about love, freedom, movement. You get it? So today, entering the healing room, we're going to really talk about the word love and really get coached around that topic so that we all can move forward together in the middle of this pandemic and also in the middle of this whole all Black Lives Matter because they do. And how do we move forward? We move forward together in love and unity. Together in love and unity. Stay tuned for Healing Room LA, all about love. What's up, everybody? We are here for Healing Room LA. Thank you so much for watching. And today we have an amazing guest. He's a former pastor, he's a love coach, the editor at Control Magazine, a motivational speaker, matter of fact, a transformational speaker, and so much more. I am incredibly delighted that he said yes, that he will be on the Healing Room show today. And I know you're going to be changed and impacted by the words that will be shared on today. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, please welcome to Healing Room LA, Mr. none other than Byron Jamal. What's up, Jamal?
So glad to be on with you, Pastor, man. Thank you for having me today.
Absolutely. You know, for a moment there, I was like, wait a minute, Byron or Jamal? Byron or Jamal? Which one is Byron?
Just all of it. Just all of it. Why not? Why not?
No, thank you so much for being on today. It's really exciting to have someone like you on this show as we talk about healing during this time, because I think it's important for me to be on the healing side of this process. And I believe through love and freedom to be, we really discover so much greatness that lies inside of us. So to be
Yes.
able to talk to you about the subject matter of love, I think is so, for me, so amazing. Literally.
Well, I'm glad to
So
talk about it. This is what I do all day, so I'm here for it.
let's dive. Let's dive. So first of all, let me just say, you know, tell us a little bit about where you're from. How did you formulate, or how did your mother or father formulate Byron Jamal?
Well, I'm actually adopted. I was adopted up in Hartford, Connecticut, and my parents, a Jamaican father who moved to Boston, and a mother who was raised on the west side of Philadelphia, came together in Massachusetts, Springfield area, and got married, found love, and have been together for 40 years since. From that time, we actually moved down to Charlotte, and so I grew up in Charlotte. I went to school after that at Norfolk State University, where I got my degree in English. During that time, I decided I wanted to go to Pittsburgh and go to seminary. So I went to seminary school in Pittsburgh Theological, came down to Atlanta for a few years, and then went back to Charlotte. Then got my master's in business administration. And
Woo!
so I'm
Wait a
doing all
minute. You, you running. You doing okay. I'm sorry. I'm just like, woo. Okay, Charlotte. So you went back to
Charlotte.
Charlotte.
I lived in DC. I lived in Charlotte. I've lived in Atlanta. I lived in Pittsburgh, and I lived in Norfolk, Virginia.
Wow. Wow, 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 wow. So I did see that former pastor. And then you
Mhm.
studied. So let's talk about that. Former pastor where and what did you do?
Absolutely. So I was with New Gibeon Ministries for Christ up in Maryland. The pastor up there is amazing, Apostle Sherman Farmer, and the whole family up there. Several churches that we were over, and so I was glad to be a part of that. That's actually where I got ordained. I was licensed to the Baptist Church. Again, licensed to a non-denominational church, but I actually was ordained through that ministry and began pastoring from there.
Wow. Um, what made the transition to come into Atlanta?
Well, Atlanta was it's my second time here. Actually, I was here originally working with the Vision Church during some of the earlier years. I actually went back after being the executive administrator for the church for a while. I actually went back to Charlotte. My parents took ill, and so that was a great time for me to help them and rediscover a lot in ministry as well. It helped me just to really get focused, and that's when I actually went to Pittsburgh after that.
Wow. Wow. You have a lot of really great assets that live within you. Like, wow. So as we really talk about your journey and
Mm.
your journey of really moving into your purpose and your calling, what were some of the key things that you learned in the process of your own becoming? What did that look like for you?
Absolutely. One of the best things I could say that ever happened to me was to have my heart broken. I learned myself in brokenness that actually putting myself back together was more closer to the image of what I was supposed to be. A lot of times, until we're broken, we end up taking on some caricature or wearing some mask that isn't authentic. And so, only in brokenness do you really get to find and discover yourself because you're open, you're vulnerable, you're sensitive to what is, and the redevelopment of yourself actually becomes so much clearer. You become so much clearer. And I would have to say, in those times, I was brokenhearted. Every failed relationship, every broken promise, every situation that didn't turn out the way it was supposed to, it actually was all really, really good for me. And so I'm in such a solid place because of those moments.
Wow, that was something that I really talked about not too long ago. To be broken, to be alone, and what are you willing to let go in order to move forward?
Mm,
Because that is how you literally can heal internally and be able to really go within to ask questions and answer questions at the same time. So
absolutely.
that's so remarkable. So you're English major, so you write.
Yes.
What do you like to write about? What is your conversation? Or what do um, your mind put to pen to write about?
Well, I actually have, I'm a fiction and nonfiction writer. I have a book that's out right now called Unlovable. It's about a
Mm.
pastor, a stripper, and an athlete that all have different issues that make them feel unlovable. And it's how they find love in themselves and with each other. I also currently am finishing or about to release. It's already on pre-order, but my book on love is called Successful Love: How to Navigate the Six Phases of Love's Journey. And so I am helping people find love at every phase of love, whether it's in singleness, marriage, or divorce, everything in between. So that's a little bit of everything. I love writing. I love just helping people. So articles with Control Magazine on love and on dating and giving advice on relationships, from even fiction, as I mentioned, to writing stories about people's lives who can inspire and encourage us to rethink our own.
You know that is so great, and that takes us right into this dive of this love journey. How
Yes.
did you get to say, I really want to help people in the area of love? Where did that
Yes.
start?
Well, it started in seminary. When I went to seminary, it was the time that I actually came out, and it was a very difficult time for me. I was at a predominantly white school as one of the only black students, and especially one of the only black students my age. The other ones were definitely 45 to 60 years old. And so I was one of the only people I felt like I couldn't talk to anybody. I had a mentor there, Dr. Ronald Peters, who was amazing. But other than that, that was really the only person I could really confide in. And so I found myself in my room a lot with God and in my studies, kind of isolated. And in that time, I found God. I actually,
Mm.
when I left seminary, I realized that I did not want to be stuck in anything that held me back from love or told me this is not a way you could love, because I knew that the Bible says God is love and God is everything, and everything is in God. And when you think of that, if God is really love, then that means love is in everything. And it's hard to separate anything from love, anything. And that's why I find it so interesting that we are so religious when it comes to certain things, because it's so simple. It really is simple in the fact that God is literally in everything. And that's why we could find God in blood. Jesus' blood. That's why we could find it in Jesus' flesh. That's why we could find it in the breaking of the sky. That's why we could find it in sunlight. That's why we can find it in the rain. That's why we could find it in the manifestation of water into wine, because it is literally in everything. And when we think of it that way, how we interact with people, how we treat people, how we deal with people and handle people, we are looking at a walking manifestation of love. And so I've come to this place where I have to respect other people in the way that I want to respect myself. And so love seems like the easiest thing to talk about, the simplest thing to talk about, the most powerful thing to talk about, and most necessary thing to talk about, because it solves everything.
I am literally working on a project that said love heals all, because I believe that everything that you need can
Mm,
be really supplied through that LOVE word.
absolutely.
Um, and that sometimes that word for many people creates fear, anxiety, depression, because some people have found it, some people have not found it, some people have an idea what it looks like, and the reality of it doesn't look like that. It takes work.
Yes.
Well, it takes work relationally. Let me say that when we talk about love, and one of the things I want to bring up as we talk about love is the fact that I love what you said. Love is in everything, and
Mm-hmm.
that love is in you.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how you define yourself, no matter how you appear in the world, even with the approval or non-approval of those that you know, um, that doesn't take away the love that God has for you.
At
Can
all.
we can we can we dive in the fact that because you are alive, because you are here,
Mm.
that is essence of the fact that he loves you, which gives you another opportunity, another day to embrace this moment, to move in
Yes.
love, to breathe in love, to operate in love.
Actually, it's funny that we're talking about that. I just finished reading for the audiobook for a chapter that talks about love is your birthright. And it's an interesting thing because you think about the prodigal son. You have this story of a young man who takes his inheritance much earlier than he's supposed to get it when somebody dies. But he takes an inheritance basically saying, I'm moving far away enough that you're not even alive anymore, because it's supposed to get it when the person's dead. And so he fails at using that inheritance and comes back and doesn't believe that he is worthy of being still a son. He wants to be a servant of his father. That's how a lot of us look at life. Like, we make mistakes and we fail and we mess up, and we come back to our existence once we stop crying, and we don't look at ourselves the same anymore. We look at ourselves as tarnished. It's like getting that new car, and you treat that new car so special, but the moment it gets in an accident, the moment the exterior gets banged up and dented, you stop taking as much care of it, because you're like, well, this isn't worth as much anymore as it was when it was brand new, shiny, and unblemished. We treat ourselves with less care when we think we aren't still the polished version. And so I'm very cautious now to help my clients realize, number one, the way the father saw the son was as the son before he left. He was not at all intimidated or anxious or nervous about who was coming back to him. He saw the same person who left coming back. And you got to see yourself that way. You got to love on yourself enough to realize this person that made mistakes and has flaws and messed up is still the version that God designed. And it was what God saw when God saw me. There is no surprise that I can give God. And so I got to love myself through that lens, that God saw me as this perfectly designed being. And I am that no matter how many times I error correct myself in life. I always am still that vessel. There's a story I love to tell about when I was a kid. I'm horrible at arts and crafts. So you say all these things I can do. I'm terrible at arts and crafts. So when I was a kid, we had this project to work with clay, and we had to design something for our parents. A lot of the kids chose the easy route. They did vases and they did mugs and things like that, right? But I'm creative, so I thought, even though I'm not good at it, I thought I could do something because I had enough love in my heart. I thought I could just make a bear in a chair, right? So yes, a bear in a chair. I thought I was going to do it. Well, by the time I finished with the clay, it was actually more like a dog in a beanbag because it had no legs in the chair. It was a mess. But I was crying at the end of it, and my teacher was like, "Don't worry, Byron. Tomorrow we're going to paint them, so you have a chance to at least put the color on it that you want." And I was like, "Okay, all right. So tomorrow when this thing gets heated up, I'm gonna be able to paint it, and we're gonna be good." So I got in the next day and I had this idea of mixing all these colors together. And, it looked one way. But when I put it on the actual dog in the bean bag, it did not look at all. After they put it in the heat and it glazed over and it got nice and shiny, the paint looked completely different than the color I made. So here I am with something shaped in a way that I didn't plan, and I have something that doesn't have the color that I didn't expect, and I'm supposed to take this to my parents and present it to them as a gift from me. And when I get home, I devalue this thing so heavy that when I give it to them, I am literally crying because I am pained by what I have to give them. And my parents, especially my mother, she took it and she started crying because she was like, "You put so much love into this. I can see you tried so hard." And she put it on the mantle in our home with all the other awards and plaques and degrees in the house. It was a place of honor. And that taught me a lesson. It doesn't matter how you're shaped or how you're formed. The fact that you were formed in love. And you got to remember that. It doesn't matter your color, it doesn't matter your shape, doesn't matter what you're called to be. Just know that you are meant to be on the mantle of honor and the place of distinction. And as long as you keep that in your heart, you will overcome challenges, not be deterred by setbacks, and will see yourself as greater than the things that happen in your life.
Byron, that was so good. That was so good. For the people in the back, that was so good. For many people, they're really trying to find relationships.
Mm.
And especially now dealing with social distancing, many people are challenged by the facts of not being able to touch or feel or have the presence of someone because of social distancing. As we talk about love, many people think about relationship. um, do you believe we're all meant to connect relationally? And if so, what do you say about that?
Yeah, I think relationships are one of the primary things that other than our individual purpose, we are called to be in relationship with one another. Going back to the whole Adam and Eve, I don't. That wasn't meant to be a institution of marriage. It was more about the understanding that everything needs something to complement it. Everything needs something to support it. Everything needs somebody. We are not islands, and it is necessary for us to understand that part of what the story was supposed to be about.
You know what,
Will,
Byron? I just have to say that was good on that first part. We all need compliments, something that compliments you. That
yes, yes, we
that
all
was
need it.
good.
We all need it, and you can find that in different ways. I think that's the moral of the relationship story is that you find it in multiple ways. You find it through family, you find it through friends, you find it through a partner potentially. You find love as it comes. It's this is why I talk about love as a journey, not a destination, because on the journey of love, you can meet so many different characters to your life that add love into your life and and are a complement to your life and to your love journey. We get stuck on time.
Mm.
We get stuck on this thing called time. And the problem is when you get stuck on time, you begin to devalue moments when something separates. I like to use this analogy. I was in an interview. Interviewing more actually makes stuff come to my mind. So that's why I like doing interviews. I was in one interview and I came up with this thought that we're all on a love train. And you start from the beginning station when you're born, and then you'll get off when your life ends. That's your love train. Now, there are people that you allow onto your train. There are people that are brought into your train for different reasons, but there are stops all along the way. Some people will go further with you along that journey than others. Some
Mm.
people may make it to the end with you. But the reality is that you got to stop looking at when they got on and when they got off, and you got to start paying more attention to what happened while they were there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Wow. Wow.
because it is more about the love, the joy, the peace, the honor, the learning, the gifts that you were given during the time that they were with you in the seat beside you. It's more important about that, the actual time spent, than when they have to get off their exit.
Oh my. I think that is. I think that is really great because one of the things I really focus on in, particularly relationally, is I try to really focus on the good. I try to focus on like the whole idea of be here,
Yes,
not be absent, but be present in the moment.
yes.
And then when it's over, or takes another form or go to a next phase, be strong enough or brave enough to let go.
Hmm.
And it's okay that you may open your spirit, your mind, your heart to the next phase of your life, um which I think a lot of people have challenges with with relationships, finding love. And for me, sometimes I can be fairy tale, because I love all these romance movies and love movies. I how things kind of like fall in place, and sometimes I believe a lot of us have those idea of what we see on television or what we read in a book and think that is true to life. And when it doesn't add up like that, we sometimes dismiss it. Um, because it just don't look like the way we understand it. So, you know, is fairy tale what it is? A fairy tale, or Byron, should we bring our minds down, come out the clouds, and
I
deal
think it's both.
with reality?
I actually think it's both. I think on one hand, well, let me address something you said, and I want to answer that
Yeah.
because you mentioned about letting go and the difficulty of that. I learned sometime going through a tough patch. I remember God speaking to me very clearly. God said, in their moment, in their moment when it's most necessary, trees let go of their leaves.
Mm,
Think like trees. Because the tree knows that in order to maintain its strength and in order to survive a certain season, it's got to let go of the nutrients that it's giving a leaf. It's got to let go of that to keep it in. There's moments when you need to focus on self, and I call that singleness. And there's moments when you need to bud out and begin to show fruit in other ways. So
right.
that's to that point. But to your point about fairy tales, I do believe in fairy tales. I think what you have to realize, though, is that everyone has their own, and that no fairy tale, no fairy tales were ever the same. No two fairy tales ever told were exactly the same. If they were exactly the same, they would have been the same fairy tale. So there was no point of having the same retelling of the same fairy tale. So that means that your own fairy tale is going to be very unique to you. It may be that you're a sleeping beauty. It may be that it takes a while for somebody to find you. It may be that you have seven people that are around you, seven little people, seven people that you don't think are the big person and that they are little dwarves in your life, but they all have special gifts and assignments to protect you until the right person comes. It could be that you are under immense pressure and offense and hidden away like Cinderella, and you're waiting for the right person find you and be the right fit. All of these things could be true. You could even be the Rapunzel and be locked away, and you need somebody to find you and climb up to where you are. You feel like you're in an elevated position of authority and power, and you need somebody that can reach your level. That is all very true. But I will tell you that it could be a merger of all of them. It could be that, but you have to be confident in your journey. And wherever you are in that, once you find the love, once you find it, understand that the fairy tale was the good parts and the bad parts all put together. The fairy tale is not just the good parts. The fairy tale is not the happily ever after. It is in the beginning, once upon a time. And you got
Mm.
to understand that that makes up the whole story. You gotta realize that the fairy tale is the entire journey, not just the parts that felt good.
And that reminds me of this whole entanglement craze that is going on right now
Right,
with Jada.
right.
Once upon a time, however, it's the entire story and the
Yes,
narrative that they created and communicated to each other that have brought them to a point that they can sit at the red table and say, "Yeah, I was in an entanglement." Um, and that's the process of relationship, working it
that
out,
is.
communication,
That's
development.
a journey.
I love is a journey. That's what you
Love is
said.
a journey.
Love is a journey. Byron, you know what? You're good. I can talk to you all day. You're good. You're good. You really are.
That's what I
Um,
do all day. I guess if I played an instrument and I did it all day, I'd be all.
right. Exactly. Woo. So as we get ready to like close the conversation, but we have to do you have to do something with Vision LA. We have to have you do something. Uh, Even before they lift this whole COVID-19. Maybe you can't come to LA right now, but we have to do something virtually. This is really good. I think love is the key to everything.
Yes.
Um, Lastly, anything that we need to know about what's new for you, or any books or anything like that we need to go and order via online, or how can we learn more about Byron Jamal?
Absolutely. Well, thank you again for having me on. Let me just say that I am so glad to be able to do what I do as a love coach to help people in the position I'm in. So I started a Love Heroes community. You can just go to byronjamal.com
Mm.
and you can go to the community and you'll find that it's a place for entrepreneurs and professionals who are just needing some love support, whether they're single or in a relationship. We even have married couples in there. It's just about a place where you can be safe and feel like you can talk about love without being judged. So that's the Love Heroes community. I also have my new book coming out, Successful Love, navigating the 6 phases of modern love. And I'm excited about that because that's really helping to transform a lot of hearts this is stuff that I've learned from coaching people throughout the years. And I put it all together to help singles, people who are looking to date, people in relationships, people who are being engaged, and those going into the marriage and even divorce phases of love. And so I'm glad to help there. And finally, I do have my novel out I mentioned earlier. It has a complimentary book that's an affirmation book, 31 Days to Find the Love in Your Life. And so all of that's on my website, byronjamal.com. I'm here to help. I also do one-on-one coaching and group coaching. So anybody need help, always here to do that for you.
Awesome, 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 awesome. The last question I want you to answer is this.
Yes.
As a love coach, give us 3 keys or 3 points for those of us who I believe need to all experience love from within, that it
Mm.
may come an external expression of who we are. How do we experience the love within?
That's good. Let me first say that there are normally 7 keys I would give to that. I'll give you 3 today. And the first one, it's based on Genesis and the creation story. So it would first be that God saw the light. God saw the darkness, and the darkness was present. God accepted the darkness. He didn't complain about the darkness. There was no crying about the darkness. The darkness was there. Understanding and accepting that everything starts in darkness. Everything starts empty and with a void. That you can't have anything until you first have emptiness, and you got to have a space that's empty in order to fill it. And so you got to accept the emptiness in your life. If you're looking for love right now, you got to accept that you maybe have some love deficits. You got to start with where you are and accept the process of where you are. And that's okay. So accepting it is always the first step. But then God said, let there be light. So God then spoke into it. There was a part of articulating something that you want. You got to start speaking what you want. Stop speaking that there are no good people out there. Stop speaking that it's hard to find love. Stop speaking that you don't deserve love. Stop speaking that you made too many mistakes. Stop speaking that you are not good enough. Start speaking that you are enough, that you deserve it, that it's your birthright, that you're worthy, that you are lovable, and that you are the right person at the right time. Right? Then you got to find, my third point would be to affirm it. God said that the light was good. You got to start speaking what's good in your life. Affirm the thing that you're speaking. Say, yes, not only am I lovable, but my love is good. My love is worthy. I have high rates of love. I am the baddest. If I were to, I am the right person to be loved. I am the person who deserves love in the right way. And when you start affirming your life and start speaking into your life the goodness that God sees you as, that's what's going to help you step into the next phase on your love journey.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Byron Jamal, everybody. Thank you for entering the healing room with Byron Jamal. It's all about love. It is
All
all about love.